Well, hello, my little beauties. It's David Connolly here, the web developer extraordinaire. I'd like to say a huge thank you to those of you who have stood by me over the years. And if you would be so good, please do consider subscribing if you like this kind of content. The web development revolution needs your support, and we'd love to have you on board. Today, I want to talk about something a little bit more serious, a little bit more bland than usual. This is all I have for you, actually. Just this miserable text here. But I want you to know that moving forward, I'm going to be giving this text or some version of it to all of my clients moving forward. In fact, all of my clients are going to have a part on the admin panel that says this text. You know, I'm sure I'm going to edit it. There'll probably be some typos, right? But the sentiment will not change. And all of my clients are going to have this on the admin panel. I'm going to recommend that all developers have text like this on their own admin panels that they build. And I'll leave this below. You can copy it and modify it for yourself. And I'm also going to be leaving a link to this video with every admin panel or every IT system or web app that I build. And maybe we'll talk about that in a moment. So with that being the case, hello client or potential client, because I am quite seriously going to be showing this to all of my clients. And what we're going to talk about here is kind of important. So with your permission, I'll take 2 minutes to read this. It's not going to win the Booker Prize. It's not perfect, but hopefully I'll bungle through it and then I'll talk to you like a human being. All right, here we go. This web app has full technical support until blankety blank, based on the following conditions. Any technical or design related conversations with any other IT professionals relating to this web app must include the developer, or at the very least, have the developer's approval in advance. In this case, I am the developer, and this is David Connolly writing. I define technical and design related as being anything that potentially involves either HTML, JavaScript, CSS and or PHP code being modified in this web app. I define an IT professional as anyone who earns revenue by charging for website or IT related services such as design, development, AdWords, search engine optimization, and other marketing endeavors. Unfortunately, there is a huge problem in the web development industry with marketing companies approaching site owners, convincing the site owner that the developer did a bad job, and then ultimately convincing the site owner to abandon their developer, all without the developer being asked any questions or having any opportunity to offer a retort. In the past, I have personally lost some great clients because of this kind of behaviour. When that happens, my ability to earn an honest living is harmed, and my good clients end up getting stuck with substandard work that has been carried out by faceless rogues. The reason why I insist on being included in potential conversations with other IT professionals is merely so that I have a fair opportunity to respond personally to any potentially negative critique of my work that might potentially be offered. As developer, I do not claim ownership of this web app. The owners of this web app are free to work with or hire whomever they like. This includes seeking a second opinion about whether or not the developer has done a good job. All I'm insisting upon is that I have an opportunity to be included in those kinds of conversations. If I'm not included in those kinds of conversations, then it's quite literally impossible for me to remain in business. if I discover that any conversations relating to this web app have taken place, I should say, with an IT professional, without me having an opportunity to respond, then all technical support guarantees from my end will be immediately revoked. End of statement. So, that all seems a little bit heavy, right? And let me just clue you in on where we are. Regulars of my channel will know this, in fact. Now, at the time of speaking, I've been out of the marketplace for about 3 years because I've been doing Speed Coding Academy and building a framework, the TronGate framework. However, before that time out had started, I can tell you that the last 3 clients in a row that I had, all of them, I lost them, and they were good clients. In fact, great clients, good people. And I lost them because all of them were approached by these marketing companies. And I'm doing the thing with my fingers here. You know, the little quotation thing? I'm doing that, right? Marketing companies. And what happens is, it's exactly like I say, these companies who appear with a pretense of, well, we can help you with social media marketing or AdWords or some other thing, they'll usually offer everything under the sun, usually for $100 a month or $200 a month. Well, $99 or $199. And over the course of usually 3 or 4 weeks, they'll be talking to the client about, here's how you can make the site better if you change this headline and move this picture up here. And it's all incredibly impressive and very, very dazzling. And then at some point in the conversation, the highly trained sales professional, who is certainly much more charming than me, will say, hey, this site's actually pretty bad. Have you saw how bad this performs on Google or something like that? And then in the case of, and I'm delighted to give you the name of one of the companies, show them this video, Care Factor Zero. But I had one company by the name, or at least they went by the name Web.com. They approached a client of mine and they said to the client, oh, look how badly your site performs on the search engines. And they said, we ran it through our software. Now, I hope you're paying attention. This is their software, right? The Web.com guy said, your site only scores 17% out of 100 in terms of how well it has been built and how search engine friendly it is. We can fix that. And let me tell you what happened. I never even knew about those conversations until one day I noticed that the client had stopped returning my calls. The client, whenever I did get in touch, there was a sort of haunted awkwardness. Just appeared from nowhere. One day I remember I even had a client, another client I remember, who bizarrely, this was a client that had got to number 2 on Google for the phrase van leasing, by the way. A multi-billion-dollar industry, and I was doing a great job. And one day out of the blue, this client of mine phones and he says, you don't even know what you're doing. And I was like, what? I don't know what I'm doing. Sure enough, he had been processed by one of these companies. What's funny actually, and I just remembered this, in the case of that particular company, they successfully poached the client, then tried to hire one of my own employees to, I'm laughing, it sounds so ridiculous, but they actually, I wonder if I should give you names here. Yeah, I'll give you names. It was a site called the Van Warehouse. And what happened is somebody got in touch calling himself the Google man, right? And the Google man says, oh, this site of yours is terrible. Why don't you get me to do it? The client then got on the phone to me, shouted, you don't even know what you're doing. I lost the client. Then the Google man got the gig, who then charged more than me. I hope you're paying attention. And then the Google guy, knowing that he never had the technical skills to build a contact form, approached an employee of mine and says, could you help me to build this website? So in other words, the client was being duped royally. The client was being duped into thinking that my end was doing a bad job. The client was then ultimately paying more for hiring the Google man. And the Google man had the audacity to come and try and hire the same guy that the client would have had anyway. It's absolutely incredible, but this kind of stuff happens. It happens all the time, and it happens to everyone. Now, when a client, a good client, and hello to the clients who are listening, when a client embarks upon a dialogue with an IT professional who has it in their mind, I'm going to convince the client that the last guy did a bad job. The last guy, and I am the last guy, has no chance. You could be the best developer on the planet called Earth. But if somebody comes along and says, oh, this guy did a terrible job, and if they're really slick, they will convince you that that's the case. And the developer has absolutely no chance. And I remember, my last client, this happened again. And I remember saying, the client was phoning and saying, I think maybe you should change this picture and move it here. And I was talking to that guy. And I said, do you think maybe I should be included in this? And I remember the client completely inappropriately and angrily said, you're just the developer and he's just the designer marketing guy and I'll hire whomever I like. Well, he did hire whomever he liked. And he got left with a turkey. Of course, he got rid of me. I got dropped like a bad habit. But then he got left with this garbage website. And, you know, the minute that they actually take on board the gigs, this is what happens. The clients get abandoned. Developers are okay. The demand for developers is sky high. Yesterday I saw $100,000 a year being offered on Indeed. Last week I reported that we're now seeing PHP developer jobs coming in at just under $1,000 per day. The developers will be fine. But the clients, whose businesses, whose way of earning a living, whose lifestyles depend on these apps, the clients are the real losers. Now, let's have a little assumption. Let's assume that I am the greatest developer on earth. I'm the greatest, right? Let's just assume it. And somebody approaches a client. Maybe they say, hey, we're an SEO company, search engine optimization, or we do Facebook marketing or whatever. We do this. And they approach a client and say, we should, why don't you have us doing this for your site? Okay. Now you may think that's nothing to do with development. But I'm telling you, because I'm the best developer in the world, that it has everything to do with development. The comments are open and anyone who wants to leave a retort can. It has everything. I'm the best developer in the world. I should be included in the conversation. I should have an opportunity to participate. That's all I'm saying. Now, let's assume that I'm the worst developer in the world. I'm the most unethical guy you could imagine. Oh, my work's terrible. I'm rude. I've probably got questionable body hygiene and everything. I am the worst, most scamming, dodgy character. Fine. Let's make that assumption. Well, in that scenario, I should have an opportunity to participate. That's all I'm saying. It's like, I don't know anything about DIY. I don't know anything about DIY. But if somebody appeared and said, I'm a kitchen fitter, by the way, I had a look at your kitchen and it's terrible. The whole thing's going to flood if you don't do something. Oh, this is the worst kitchen ever. And you've even got a gas oven. Holy moly, somebody could die. The work is so bad. Do you know what? I would have no clue if the guy was telling the truth or not. Maybe the other kitchen fitter says this guy's doing a terrible job. Maybe he's right. But if the world has any sort of justice, the original kitchen fitter should have an opportunity to participate in those conversations. There's nothing heavy about that. There's nothing unethical. It's not some power grab or anything like that. It's just fairness. And those of us who are developers, we have to face up to the fact that the world is not all sunshine and smiles. Now, don't get me wrong, the clients are great. They're here right now. And I always teach, we respect our clients. They are the ones who make the lights go on at night. However, if your clients embark on conversations with other IT professionals, and to state the obvious, I'm not talking about going to the pub with his mate Charlie and saying I got a website. I'm talking about IT professionals having conversations within a professional context, and if the developer is not included, I'm telling you, yes, the customer is king, but that customer will not be a customer for much longer, because I know how this ends. I've been in the game since 1996 and I know how this ends. And so that's why I'm saying, with a certain reluctance and a slightly heavy heart, that every single client of mine is going to get this message. Every single one. And I'm also encouraging all my subscribers to copy this message and put it onto an admin panel, because we developers have to protect our own interests as well as our clients' best interests. And that's what this is about. So please let me know what you think. And your comments are very, very welcome. Thank you once again to everybody who has stood by me. Recently, I've had like 30 new subscribers over the last week. And I think it's because people are leaving comments and leaving thumbs ups. It seems to really help. I don't know, maybe it does. But if you do that, I would be super grateful. And to those good clients of mine who are watching, again, I just want to give you folks a message of gratitude. I'm not posting this in a spirit of, oh, here's what I tell my clients, as if I'm some kind of a hard man. I'm not. I'm just a guy, you know. And I'm telling you, you website owners, you're going to be approached. And unfortunately, we have to be preemptive with this stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.